So, Rose closed her eyes and did as her mother asked, beginning to take slow, deep breaths, trying to focus on the feeling of the nature around her. The grass cradling her knees, the wind that slowly pushed through the area, the smell of water on the air, and the scent of flowers in the breeze. For a short time she sat there, trying this process, but didn't seem to be having any results. I mean, nothing seemed out of ordinary, Rose thought to herself. So when is this connection supposed to start? Shouldn't I be able to sense it like my mom? Rose thought to herself. Come on, work, she thought, pleading with nature, pleading with herself. My mom can do it, so why can't I? Please, work, she thought, as suddenly Rose felt something. It was a strange feeling, something that Rose had never felt before. She wasn't even sure how to interpret it, what it meant. It was as if suddenly she felt as if she was in water, as if she was in refreshing cool water, with warm light shining down from above. Then it changed. Suddenly she felt as if her body was swaying, moving ever so gently with the breeze, shifting back and forth in a way that her body simply couldn't move. She obviously felt like it was her, but her body didn't feel like her body. What was this? Rose thought to herself, as one after another these strange sensations started to rush in. At first, one at a time, an individual feeling, and then in clusters, sporadically, almost nonsensically. She couldn't make heads or tails of any of it. But the more that these sensations started to overcome her, rushing in from everywhere seemingly, confusing her with countless different sensations, suddenly it was like all the dots began to connect, as if she could somehow understand the water. The water was 30 feet to her right, and she could feel life within it. Blooms of lily pads, and small fish and creatures that live within that pond. The sensation of swaying was from the grass in the field that filled this area. She began to realize that she could feel everything. She could feel the insects crawling through the grass, each and every one of them. Feel the life of the grass itself, as if she were a blade of grass. Know where they were in relation to her. But there wasn't simply an endless number of blades of grass. No, it was all simply one big thing. There was no need to count them as separate. They were all one and the same, in the same way that an arm has multiple fingers. The grass has multiple blades, but they are all part of the same thing. One large living thing, not countless separate things. And in that moment, Rose's senses extended outward. She began to see everything. The trees in the forest, the animals that inhabited the woods, the curve of the land that the nature in this place grew upon. What was rock or earth? What was mud? Up and down, left and right, north and south. All of these things began to become apparent to her, and she could feel everything. for miles in every direction. Information about what was going on everywhere, simply rushing in. The moment she had a thought about what was going on in a different location, she would suddenly feel as if she were there. It was like being able to teleport. Rose could be standing in a clearing in the woods, and then, in a single instant, she could be standing right in front of the cabin where they left all of their things, simply looking at it. Her senses simply had the ability to be anywhere she wanted them to be. It was as if there were no restrictions, as if her physical body was unnecessary, as if her consciousness itself could live and breathe within nature, regardless of where she was. Rose began rushing from place to place, looking at everything, seeing everything, for what felt like the first time ever, rapidly jumping from one place to the next to the next. It was exhilarating. Rose could actually feel her heart beginning to race, as suddenly her eyes shot open, and she found herself lackluster for breath, as her heart beat very intensely in her chest. There she was, back where she had started, kneeled down in the grass in front of her mother. "What was that?" Rose said, trying to catch her breath. "I'm afraid you got a little overexcited, Rose," her mother said, looking down to her. "Remember, we are a part of nature, and thus are able to commune with it. But that communion does not come without cost, Rose. In order to receive knowledge and understanding from nature, we must also give back to nature. As we see through it, we must pass our energies into the earth, into the elements, into the plants and living things. This is an exchange, Rose. The more you wish to see, the more energy that nature will ask of you. You simply tried to see too much too fast. It can happen when you first begin the process. You're unaccustomed to controlling it, and wore yourself out. Don't worry, after you catch your breath, you'll be fine. The process is never harmful, even if it can be tiring." "Mom, that was incredible. It was like I was everywhere. Like I could see everything. I'd be in one place, and then I'd just be in the next." "Yes, Rose. That's how it works. By passing our energy into nature, we are able to perceive the world through the eyes of nature, to allow our consciousness to pass within that energy. So you don't actually have to have your eyes on it to see it. It's not sight in the traditional sense, but you can still tell what everything is. The grass and trees cannot see a fox running through it. They simply perceive the fox, able to feel its size and weight, the delicate nature of its fur as it shifts through, the pheromones it puts off. All of these things are little pieces of information that nature absorbs. It is a different kind of sight, one that in time you will become accustomed to using. But now that you have the basic process down, we can begin with the mother-daughter exchange. This will be a little bit more difficult. Now, the trick is not to simply perceive nature, but to make a request of nature, to focus your will into the energy, and by doing so, have nature grant that request. "Are you ready, Rose?" her mother said, having a somewhat gentle expression that carried notes of seriousness. Yeah, Mom, I'm ready. Just tell me what to do.